Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
The axe has fallen with the release of the Alberta Provincial budget. How will students be affected?
We are hoping that NAIT does find efficiencies within the institution themselves.
Road tests across the province are faced with extreme wait times.
They told us check every single day until maybe something earlier will pop up.
And find out how a local group is preparing to honor soldiers for Remembrance Day.
There's more room when the honor guard is marching.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening. A lot of uncertainty and concern this week for post-secondary students and staff just 1 week after the provincial budget was tabled. Advanced education was one of the hardest hit.
Yeah, and right now there are more questions than answers, and many are waiting to see how the cuts will affect them. Our Jace Mackey joins us live from the South Lobby with more.
This week, meetings were held at post-secondary schools to help give students insight and to curb speculation. One thing students do know is that the tuition freeze is now over, and some are concerned that they will have to help pay the financial gap.
This is a bump in a very long road. It's a big bump, but it's a very long road.
It was a packed house as anxious students and staff at the University of Alberta gathered to hear what their school's president had to say about Budget 2019.
We have already canceled, I think, about $10 million worth of infrastructure contracts. So that big cut that we've got in infrastructure, we've been able to back that off quite a bit.
But more is expected. About $44 million in cuts just this year alone. Despite promises of no knee-jerk decisions, President Turpin says job cuts, admin reductions, tuition hikes, and higher enrollment rates are all on the table. U of A students voice their frustrations.
I understand that we have to make choices, but I feel like students feel that they are bearing the brunt of these cuts.
We cannot expect our students to bear this burden alone. We have made a commitment that a meaningful portion of incremental tuition rate-derived revenue will be put into needs-based student financial assistance.
A smaller group of students gathered at NAIT this week to address concerns over the 10% tuition hike for international students. Students also questioned NAIT about domestic tuition and how much more they'll be expected to pay.
So our approach to domestic tuition, we still have some work to do to investigate what that's going to look like in future years.
While NAIT is still going over the numbers, NAISA is speaking out, saying students should not have to pay the price to cover the cuts.
NAISA, along with many other post-secondaries, were invited to a conversation with the Minister of Advanced Education, and the minister stated that he expected institutions to find alternate cutbacks with administration prior to trying to increase tuition for students.
While NAIT isn't saying much right now while they're still going over the numbers, it has been said that the cuts will be strategic and not a one-size-fits-all approach. The University of Alberta president says that they will be releasing a more detailed plan in November, so we can expect NAIT to have more to say on this in the coming weeks. The University of Alberta also released a new website, uab.ca/budget, where students can see detailed budget information, ask questions, and submit suggestions during this budget process.
How big were the cuts to NAIT compared to other institutions in Alberta?
Well, NAIT actually got one of the lowest percentages of cuts at 2.6%. The University of Alberta received a 6.9% cut, and MacEwan University was hit the hardest with a 7.9% cut. Both Concordia and King's College did not receive any budget cuts.
What other ways have post-secondary students in Alberta been impacted by the budget?
The Summer Temporary Employment Program, or STEP, will be over in 2020. It's been cut. The province says they'll save about $32 million over 4 years with the elimination of that project. They point to investments in Women Building Futures, Skills Canada, and the Job Creation Student Ways as better ways for students to find employment.
Thanks, Jace. That's Jace Mackey reporting live from the South Lobby.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
The hallways and students at NAIT will be a little healthier this season thanks to free flu clinics available on campus. An Alberta healthcare card and wearing a short sleeve shirt were the only requirements to get a free flu shot. The clinics were open between Tuesday and Thursday this week on NAIT's main campus. NAIT health officials say they are expecting a big turnout that is similar to last year's results.
So we're only in our second day, and yesterday I think we hit around 250 students and staff. That's generally what we hope, is to get over 200 a day kind of thing. Last year we ran it for a few days and had over 900 altogether, so the more people we can get, the better.
Flu clinics will reopen in the main campus as well as the Such and Patricia campus on November 7th.
Students on a budget can use a new app that brings affordable food while limiting waste to local grocery stores. Flash Food started as an idea on Dragon's Den that's now making its way across the country. The app shows users the nearest store and sells food close to its expiry date with a discount of up to 50%. The aim of the app is to limit the amount of food getting thrown out and how much shoppers spend on groceries.
Just easier to afford, especially students at NAIT. Like, I have 5 classes, I barely have time to work, so it's very hard to afford
People are always
food.
trying to save back money, so I think it'd be good.
Right now the tuition is going up and it will help me save a lot.
There is a Flash Food iPad at stores to help close sales. The company is attempting to cut down on the approximate 160 billion pounds of food that end up in North American landfills.
The warm weather isn't the only thing disappearing. Following the snowfalls in Edmonton and Calgary, e-scooter season has come to an end. Bird and Lime have announced that their e-scooters have been removed from the city streets and locked up until weather conditions improve. Bird riders are greeted on the app that also mentions the scooters were used 50,000 times in Edmonton's first year. Despite incidents where scooters were vandalized or used improperly, Bird and Lime scooters intend on returning to Edmonton in the spring.
Albertans have long been facing road test times since March, when the road test system was changed to a government-run model.
Yeah, the problem is that the province is facing a shortage of driving examiners, which has left many frustrated. Our Sarah McKinley has the story.
Thanks, guys. I'm in the NAIT parking lot where I drive my car to every day. For me, it was easy to get a road test a couple years ago, but now Albertans are faced with wait times of up to 12 weeks to get their road test. And for some Albertans who just can't wait that long, it means taking a road trip just to take the test.
Emma Stensrud is currently living in Edmonton and had to wait 2 months to book her road test in Athabasca, a 1.5-hour drive from her home.
They told us check every single day until maybe something earlier will pop up, but October 25th in Athabasca was as soon and as close as we could get it.
Emma is not the only driver experiencing issues with her road test. Over the summer, approximately 36,000 Albertans were stuck in similar situations.
The problem is we can't rush bringing on the new licensees because, of course, it's a safety-related issue, and if you take a shortcut on safety with the driver examiners, by extension, you take a shortcut on safety with those getting licenses, and we will not do that.
In September, the government announced they would license 20 to 30 private examiners temporarily to help get through the backlog. Currently, 4 examiners have been appointed for testing. There is no exact timeline for when the wait times are expected to be decreased, but more examiners will be licensed over the winter.
November, December, January, it is one of the slowest seasons. We're hoping to use that opportunity to stay up at full strength with our permanent employee driver examiners. And we hope also during this period of time to continue adding more licensees.
For now, the best way to book an appointment is to check online every day for openings or cancellations. January appointment times are also expected to be released in early November.
The City of Edmonton has agreed to make a change to the intersection of 66th Street and Yellowhead Trail. The new approval by the city is part of a larger project called the Yellowhead Trail Freeway Conversion Program. The plan would remove more traffic lights along the Yellowhead Trail. The construction project will also transform the intersection into an overpass. Nearby businesses like Sergey's Saber Club are optimistic that the change will ease traffic congestion.
I think it's really good because it'll speed up traffic. I know a lot of the red lights on the Yellowhead slow down traffic quite a bit. so it'd be nice to have an actual freeway.
Construction for the intersection is expected to begin in 2024.
Like brother, like sister, the Bosch siblings made Edmonton police history this week.
Constable Stephanie Bosch.
Stephanie and Anthony Bosch are among 28 graduates of Recruit Training Class 146. They are believed to be the first brother-sister pair graduating in Edmonton police history. Stephanie was named class valedictorian and offered a promise to Edmontonians.
When we go out onto the streets of Edmonton, we will represent hope, respect, and commitment to our communities. And if we fall, we will have the courage to pick ourselves up again and continue to fight for the goodness that exists in this world.
Stephanie was assigned to the Northeast Division, while Anthony will be in Edmonton's Southwest Division. The Bosch siblings are among a class in which all 28 recruits graduated, a rare occurrence in the police academy.
There were some superhero sightings at the second annual Heroes Running for Heroes race on Saturday. The race, hosted by Edmonton Police, supports Special Olympians. The message is that superpowers aren't required for someone to be a hero. Runners suited up to battle the clock, the cold, and each other for 5 kilometers with a medal waiting for them at the finish line. Darren Peterson was one of those runners.
It's about team building. It's about strengthening friendships. Just being around positive people. Being motivated to strive and do your best and work hard, and it's been awesome.
Funds raised will help send athletes to the 2020 Special Olympics Canada Winter Games in Thunder Bay, Ontario in February.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at a smashing event in the Cat Building.
Bats smashed and pumpkin guts flew at this mental health awareness event.
So the idea behind this event is that I wanted to get a conversation started. I wanted to make it controversial. I wanted to really make it into a big thing. In sports, I'll get you caught up in how the Eskimos are preparing for their next game, where the Oops women's soccer team is headed, and when FIBA is returning to Edmonton. All that and more coming up in sports.
It's pretty cloudy and gray here in the capital city, and unfortunately, that's how it's going to stay for the remainder of the weekend. On a more positive note, though, we are expecting to hit above average temperatures for this first weekend of November. It's going to be the last warm weekend of the 2010s. All that and more in weather.
So, the UK has just instituted the toughest ban on ivory trade Europe has ever seen. Remember this exciting button push?
159. My ears are bleeding. Underwear required over 40 stitches to her face. Good afternoon, it's 2 o'clock. I'm Jenna Winterburn with your NR92 News Update. You're listening to NR92.
Well, I don't know about you, Elliot, but I was really hoping I could dust off the old golf clubs, get one more round of golf in this season.
Really? In this weather?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little crazy, but why not, right?
I mean, okay, just make sure you bundle up before you go, please.
It'll be worth it.
Well, for this weather's forecast, we're going to send it over to Spencer Short.
Thanks, guys. While it may not exactly be ideal conditions, some courses around Edmonton are staying open for one final weekend, seeing as this will probably be our last warm one of the year. Over in our sister city in Calgary, they're expecting daytime highs of about 6 degrees this weekend and evening lows of 0 degrees, with a 40% chance of showers, in the evenings. Heading on over to the west in Jasper, we'll see daytime highs of 7 degrees, evening lows of 0, with a 60% chance of snow. So if you're going to be doing some skiing in Jasper, this weekend's definitely the time to do it. Heading up north to Fort Mac, it's always so cold over there. The high is going to be 1, with a low of -7, and a 40% chance of between 2 and 4 centimeters of snow. So if you're heading up north, make sure you pack an extra toque and set of sweatpants. In the capital city, though, it looks like we're going to be having a pretty warm weekend with a daytime high of 6 degrees and an evening low of -3. We are going to be seeing a 30% chance of evening showers, and with those degrees dropping below 0 in the evening, we might see some slick roads. So make sure you're driving carefully Sunday morning, and if you can, switch your summers out for your winter tires. Our averages in the capital city at this time of year are generally 4 degrees and -5. So we are above average this weekend, which is pretty awesome. Get out there, fire up the barbecue, maybe get out for one last game of golf. Our records high was 22 degrees back in 1949, which is insane. I could have been doing this weathercast in shorts. And our record low was -22 back in 1991, for which I would do this weathercast in a full snowsuit. That's about all we got for weather, but make sure that you guys roll back your clocks, because this weekend is daylight savings time. Get an extra hour of sleep Sunday morning and enjoy your entire weekend. That's all we got for weather. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
NewsWatch Weather, sponsored by NR92 Campus Radio.
NAIT's Student Association is getting creative when it comes to a serious issue.
NAITSA hosted an event surrounding mental stigmas, trying to break the stigmas, and as our Moira Bryan tells us, the event was truly smashing.
NAIT students had the chance to smash pumpkins with baseball bats as a way to break the stigmas around mental health. Students wrote down the stigma that frustrated them the most on the pumpkin, and then had the chance to smash it to bits with a baseball bat.
But the idea behind this event is that we're really trying to end the stigma around mental health, mental illnesses. So with this, we're literally metaphorically smashing the stigma that resonate with them.
Some students come for the savage fun of smashing pumpkins, but for others, smashing the stigma has a little more meaning. Ashley Smith is a student at NAIT who has struggled with her mental health all her life.
Me personally, I've faced a lot of challenges with depression, eating disorders, especially anger issues. It kind of runs in my family. It's kind of just something that you battle with every day. And the goal is not to end it, but is to keep fighting against it.
Smith was keen to write down a stigma on her pumpkin and smash it to smithereens.
Breaking the pumpkin like she is now really just kind of gave me a sense of relief knowing that it's not true. It is just a stigma.
NAITSA will be hosting one more event this semester called the Comfort Corner, which will be a relaxation space for students during the exam season. Moira Bryan, NAIT NewsWatch.
The NAIT Ooks soccer teams took on Concordia and the St. Trojans this weekend, and Chelsea Richardson jumped out of a plane for her end zone challenge.
Oof.
Yeah, do you ever see yourself jumping out of a plane?
Definitely not, Elliot. I'm a major scaredy cat. You know who isn't one, though? Chelsea. Let's see what she has to say about it in this week's sports.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Elliot. Well, although the weather was bad, the gold medal game started off with a flurry of goals. The NAIT Ooks women's soccer team defeated Concordia 3-2 on Sunday night in the ACAC Soccer Championships. Going into the second minute of the game, Concordia scored, putting Thunder up 1-0. NAIT had a quick comeback, tying the game. The game-winning goal was scored in the 82nd minute by Mackenzie Shuron. The Ooks will head to the Women's Soccer Nationals in Edmonton on November 6th to the 9th. Going to the men's side of things, Lethbridge Kodiak soccer team won their first ever ACAC championships with a victory over Red Deer. The NAIT men's team finished by taking the bronze medal home after defeating the St. Trojans. Fans were going loony for the Oil Kings as they took on the Seattle Thunderbirds on the first ever Cartoon Festival night. The game started off slow but picked up near the end of the first period. The first goal was scored by number 14 Josh Williams off a one-timer in the 12th minute of the game. Moving into the second period, Dylan Gunther quickly scored his first goal of the night. And then, minutes later, Connor McDonald takes a shot from the face-off circle and puts it home. The boys were happy with that one. After the Oil's third goal, Henry Rubinski comes back from the goal crease and has something to say. But shortly after that, Matthew Wedman passes the defense and puts it in the net. The score is 3-2 going into the third period. Well, to start it off though, in the third period, Liam Keeler finds the net and in the 6th minute. It's all smiles from the bench. Shortly after, Riley Sawchuk puts it past the goalie, making it 5-2. Ending the game off, Dylan Gunther gets his third goal of the night on an empty netter. Getting a hat trick isn't the only thing Dylan is excited about. He can't wait to play in the Russia versus Canada series that the CHL board is putting on.
Can't wait to get to kind of see some of my old buddies that I haven't seen for a couple months now and play with them and interact with them, so it'll be fun.
The Oil Kings are looking to play their next game tonight at 7. The Edmonton Eskimos are preparing for their final contest of the regular season against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Eskimos will be crossing over into the East Division for the 2019 playoffs, and the Roughriders can secure themselves a bye week with a win this weekend. The Eskimos will travel to Mosaic Stadium to try and finish off the season on a high note against the top team in their conference. Last week, the Eskimos surfaced a heartbreaking 27-24 loss to the Riders on a 43-yard walk-off field goal. This week, the Eskimos will play their backup QB Logan Kilgore, while Trevor Harris has his focus set on the 2019 playoffs. The Eskimos face the Riders this Saturday at 2 p.m. Now, calling all basketball fans, it's your chance to cheer on the Team Canada as they tip off at the Expo Center. After being here in Edmonton for the FIBA 3-on-3 Challenger, Team Canada will return for the pre-qualifiers of the FIBA Women's Olympic Tournament. The qualifiers will take place in Edmonton November 14th to the 17th, and you can watch the games live at the Edmonton Expo Center. Canada's first game will be against Cuba at 7:30, and tickets go on sale this Monday at 10 a.m. You can purchase them online at ticketmaster.ca. Well, have you ever wanted to fly through the sky like a superhero that's ready to kick some supervillain butt? Well, if your answer is yes, then keep watching, because in this week's Endzone Challenge, I go skydiving.
The Alberta Skydiving Center is located at the Innisfail Airport. It's home to professional jumpers that have been skydiving for over 26 years. Dave Withrow, who's a skydiving instructor, has 8,500 skydives under his belt. He's also the guy I would be jumping out of the plane with. I first watched a video on how to do it. When jumping, you want to make sure that your body is in the right position, like a banana. After the video, we went outside to look at the plane we'd be going up in. And to be honest, as soon as I saw how small it was, I got even more nervous.
When I tap you on the right shoulder, arms out, and then we're free falling for as long as we go.
As I waited for call time, I started preparing myself mentally and physically. The jumpsuits skydivers have to wear have to be breathable in cold and warm weather. As Dave helped me put on my harness, we ran through the steps again and had a mini pep talk.
Nervous? Yep. Scared? Let's go have some fast fun, okay? Okay.
One last time, he checked my equipment as we waited for the plane to arrive. The feeling of reality hit me when I waved goodbye to my cameraman and we were in the sky in no time.
All right, we're all hooked up and ready to rock.
It was now my time to shine, but it was all closed eyes for me at first. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when you're falling, it feels like someone is taking your breath away. So it's really hard to breathe if you don't have a mask. My overall favorite part was when Dave pulled the parachute. It really feels like you're flying. The landing is the easiest part. You just have to position yourself like you're sitting in a chair. And don't bend your legs. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything else.
Woo! So did you do that again?
Well, Chelsea, looks like you had a great time, but I'm even more terrified now.
To be honest, it's really not that scary.
Easy for you to say.
Do you ever see yourself going again?
Not anytime soon because they're closed until April 2020, but if you guys want to go.
Yeah, don't count on it.
I'm sitting this one out, but thanks for the offer, Chelsea.
No problem.
Coming up after the break, NAIT's volunteers go trick-or-treating for a good cause.
The NAIT's Food Bank collected treats more meaningful than just candy.
We're the group that goes out on Halloween and we basically pick up food for the NAIT Student Food Bank.
Coming up in this week's entertainment, we'll be looking at the 4DX seats coming to the Cineplex Scotiabank Theatre right behind me, talking a little bit about the Lest We Forget musical coming up on Sunday at the Winspear Centre, as well as a preview of the movie Playing with Fire starring John Cena. All that and more coming right up.
NAIT's volunteers hit the streets to go trick-or-treating last night.
Yeah, volunteers were collecting more than just Halloween candy. They were collecting donations to help fellow students in need.
3, 2, 1,
break! 8 teams went door-to-door across different neighborhoods collecting non-perishable food items for NAIT's Food Center. Volunteers were attempting to break last year's record of just under 3,400 pounds of food. With Halloween coming to an end, NAITSA says donations are crucial with the holiday season approaching.
It's helped over 500 students in the past, it's pretty much for students that just can't afford to feed themselves every day. So the reason why we do it around Halloween is because the Christmas season's coming up and that's when people tend to eat a lot more.
The NAITSA Food Center provides hampers to students twice a month that last between 3 to 5 days. They can create special hampers for students with dietary restrictions, including vegan and vegetarian options. Hey Josh, here's something for you. Did you know you can watch movies in 4D now in Edmonton?
4D, really? I didn't know that. But I did hear that there's a great musical playing at the Winspear this weekend. I think our entertainment host Ty Ferguson can tell us a bit more about that.
Thanks, guys. One of literature's most memorable monsters is dancing his way onto a stage in our city this weekend. Katrina Fernandez has more on that story.
Frankenstein has come back to life. The monster is preparing to hunt audience in a new horror play. Jean Grand-Maître, the artistic director of the ballet, has worked on a number of productions, but never one quite like this.
I've worked with Elton John, Joni Mitchell, people like that. I've created Shakespearean ballets and abstract ballets too, just dancing to music. But I'd never done a horror ballet.
After 2 years of working on the concept of Frankenstein ballet, the artistic director is seeing his dream become a reality. He says Mary Shelley's 200-year-old novel inspired him to mix her well-written story with dance.
And in terms of horror story and horror genre, I could tell you it's probably the most brilliant one ever written as well. The layers are psychological, philosophical, science, ethics. And so it was a brilliant novel, and I said to myself, this is the one. If I have to do a horror story, it will be Frankenstein.
The ballet uses high-tech production, from moving backdrops, dramatic lighting, to realistic costumes, and an intense soundtrack.
What's most important in all the work we do in the arts is that in the end, when people come together, which is something we rarely do anymore with all the technologies, and we live an experience together that can teach us something about ourselves or inspire us.
Frankenstein Ballet will be performing here at Northern Alberta Jubilee Auditorium until Saturday at 7:30 p.m. From NAIT NewsWatch, Katrina Fernandez.
Edmonton moviegoers will soon be able to go beyond 3D with Cineplex's 4DX auditorium.
You feel at the mercy of the chair, which can go side to side, up and down, and forwards and backwards.
West Edmonton Mall's Scotiabank Theatre opened the third 4DX auditorium in Canada on Tuesday. The seats will allow you to be able to experience things like smelling a coffee while it brews on screen.
We're finding that more and more our guests are gravitating towards movie-going experiences that they can't replicate at home. So our enhanced offerings, like our 4DX auditoriums, are actually our very, very first to sell out.
If you'd like to try the new auditoriums for yourself, you can watch Zombieland Double Tap or Countdown in 4D now. Project Wild is a program that helps 12 chosen country artists in Alberta to grow their name every year. I had the chance to sit down with one of the contestants in the program, Julia Voss, to discuss what the opportunity means to her.
I know I can't turn back time. I know I can't change your mind.
The program works with artists over 6 months to help them develop things like their performance, songwriting, and business. Artists also compete in a judged live performance down in Calgary.
It has been a hard 6 months of a lot of work, and all 12 of us are just giving it our all. I don't think anyone is slacking by any means. It's just been 6 months of giving it everything you got, because that's what we want for our careers, right?
The artists have the opportunity to win up to $100,000 for being in the top 3 of their group of 12. If you would like to vote for Julia and check out the other artists in the running, you can go on the Project Wild website. The annual Lest We Forget music tribute will play at the Winspear Centre this Sunday. Members of the Cosmopolitan Music Society rehearsed at the Old Strathcona Performing Arts Centre on Monday. The rehearsal was in preparation for the performance to honor the Canadian Armed Forces.
The Winspear the sound is so full, there's more room. When the honor guard is marching, they have more room, and it looks very impressive in there.
This musical performance features the CMS concert bands and chorus performing an assorted set, from grand military marches to popular wartime music. The performance will take place on Sunday, November 3rd at 7 p.m. in the Winspear Centre. John Cena is known for his catchphrase, "You can't see me," but you can see him on the big screen in the new family flick, Playing with Fire.
What I say, and we do it now.
He said no! We're a go for extraction.
No, wait, what?
Ooh.
John Cena plays Jake Carson, a fire superintendent, part of an elite team of firefighters. The firefighters have their lives turned upside down when they rescue 3 siblings that they must babysit. Tons of shenanigans and humor for the whole family. Playing with Fire opens November 8th. If you would like to win tickets to see Playing with Fire, you just got to be the first person on Twitter to tell us what year John Cena debuted on WWE, and they are yours. That's all I got for you in entertainment this week. Thank you so much, and you're all caught up now.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of NAIT NewsWatch.
Tune in next week for more stories across the city. Have a great weekend.